Please welcome onto stage, very happy to have him here tonight. It's Jacob in Act Normal. Yes! Whoa!
Yo. When I say fuck, you say Dave. Fuck. Dave. Fuck. Dave. Fuck. Dave. I can see when I say fuck, you scream Dave. Fuck. Dave. Fuck. Dave. Who are we fucking? Dave. All right, here's a question. What the hell is wrong with you? I say when I say fuck, you say Dave, and you just go with it. I don't know if you even has the audacity to ask, who is Dave? Is Dave a nice guy? What's Dave's profession? Do I even want to fuck Dave? Is Dave good looking? Does Dave have monkeypox? Because then it would be very irresponsible to fuck him. No, when I say fuck, you say Dave, and now together we're fucking Dave. And I see you all thinking, are you gonna explain who Dave is? No. I just want to teach you a valuable life lesson. And that, my children, is how you suck all of the energy out of an audience in the first minute of a show. Welcome, everybody. I'm very glad you're all here. So I got like 10 reservations tonight, then none of them showed up, and then 10 of my friends showed up instead. I'm very glad you're all here. Where are you all from, by the way? I haven't met you two before. Where are you from?
Netherlands.
The Netherlands? Oh, hartstikke gezellig, joh. Okay, I already want to apologize for the rest of my set. Oh, what about you two noisemakers over there? Where are you from? Slovenia. Shrek's from there, right? They're laughing, so I take that as approval. Okay, what else do we have in the audience? You, sir, where are you from? Croatia. I don't know. Yeah, that's in Europe, right? All right, yeah, so you're half Shrek. All right, what about the two people in the back? Where are you from? All right, from Great Britain, back when it was great. All right, great. I'm very glad you're all here. Yeah, I know the rest of you. You're from Belgium, right? I really want to apologize for the rest of the show. I do mention it. Now, I am from Belgium myself, in case you were wondering. It's a bit complicated because I live here in Spain. I live in Barcelona. And people have problems pronouncing my name. It's Jacob Kerkhoven. I pronounce that Jacob. I pronounce my name as Jacob. And it's difficult because I was in a job interview yesterday, and they asked me, how do you pronounce your name? And I said, Jacob, you know, because it's the thing I'm going by. They said, like, no, but yeah, how do you pronounce it in your own language? Like, how did your mother pronounce your name? And I said, I didn't get the job. Don't worry, I'm not going to make any sex jokes tonight, because I write my jokes about things I have experience with. That's why I won't make any jokes about, you know, like washing myself, or having hair, or being happy, you know, I could go on. No, but for real, this is something I struggle with, because I write my jokes about things that are more personal, a little bit dark, a little bit introspective, as you're going to notice down the show. I never, ever, ever get a laugh, as already shown by example tonight. And I see other comedians going on stage, and they're like, sex, penis, vagina. And the audience goes wild. I never understood that. So I asked another comedian, let's call her Katie, because that's her actual name. And I asked her, why is that the audience goes wild on a simple sex joke? She told me it's because sex is weird. And I've been thinking about it ever since. Because in my case, sex isn't weird. I mean, it's sad. Gesundheit. It hurts for 2 weeks after. It's super expensive. But it's not weird. No. Don't feel too bad for me, though. I am in a relationship right now, believe it or not. It's a bit complicated because it's a long-distance relationship. Is any of you in a long-distance relationship? Yeah, statistically, there has to be one. You are? No. All right. Statistically, there has to be one, but they're not here tonight. No, I am in a long-distance relationship, and it's very complicated, especially because the place she lives is called the future. It's quite far away from here. And I tried to build a time machine, but it's still in beta. And as we all know, nothing in beta ever works. As the people who tried to use a submarine that was still in beta. Yeah, let's feel bad for the people we don't know already. Like I said, I'm not going to make too much sex jokes tonight, but there's one thing I do want to ask. I ask it every single night when I do the show. And I'm also going to ask it to you. Kissing during sex, yes or no? Yes? So 2 people say yes, the rest says dead? Yeah? Kissing during sex, yes or no? Yeah, I don't because I have to pay extra for that. And that was sex work joke number 2 of the evening. All right, if the show is not about sex jokes, it's not about discriminating minorities, how could you possibly make a comedy show? Well, I'll do an attempt. We all know the title of the show, right? What's the title of the show? I asked what's the title of the show, not what are the 2 words on my t-shirt. There are more words in the English language. But indeed, a few people said it. The title of the show is Act Normal. And tonight we're going to talk about things that are normal, not normal, but most importantly, how to act normal. Something, as you've already noticed, I'm an expert at. And I've heard those words in conjunction so many times in my life that I've decided to dedicate the rest of my life trying to find the normal person so I could use them as a guide through life on how to act normal. And tonight I'm going to teach you about it, because wouldn't it be great to one day live in a world where everybody is straight up normal. Now, it's not just you. Like, I've done this show 30 times. Everybody's like, no, I mean, things are fine like it is right now. I mean, I'm not able to pay for gas or anything, but everything is fine. Everything is fine. We don't need to fix everything. But that's great, because now I have like another 40 minutes where I have to convince you, okay, fuck, I will have to do the entire show again. Don't die, fuck. It's also why I started traveling the world, by the way, to find a normal person. And with the world, I mean like Belgium, Spain, the Netherlands. But it's a work in progress. I'm trying for you, all right? The first place I moved to actually was Amsterdam. Anyone ever been to Amsterdam? Well, except for... Has any one of you been to Amsterdam? Yeah, to smoke weed and destroy the city? Yeah. No, I was actually there a week ago, hanging out with a friend. What's even more shocking than me having friends is that he's also a stand-up comedian now, and he wrote a set about me. And as you've already noticed for the last 10 minutes, there's absolutely nothing funny about me. For real, I performed my first set on February 2nd, 2020. It went so poorly, the government imposed a 2-year lockdown. Some people are still wearing masks. No, but this bloke wrote a set about me, and apparently it was about us crossing each other in the hallway. He said like, hey, how you doing? And I told him how I was doing. Apparently, I was not supposed to do that. Now, don't laugh, but because maybe it's a cultural thing, like Americans. No, but I run into this problem all the time, and they're like, if I put cross by someone from America, they would be like, hey, how you doing? And me, a Belgian, would be like, awful. By the time I said the word full, they were at the end of the whole way because they didn't give a shit. Very weird people in Amsterdam. Very early on, I already figured out I'm not going to find a normal person here. But I was like, Jacob, 7 years from now, in some weird basement in Raval, you're going to do a show about this. Keep looking. And so I did. And the second thing I noticed about people in Amsterdam is that Amsterdam has some of the most beautiful women in the world. Generally, they're all tall, blonde, as flat as their streets, gorgeous. Another thing all women in Amsterdam have in common, no interest in me whatsoever. I never met a woman in my life with a lower level of interest than any of them. And I have been neglected as a child. It's okay, the show gets a lot worse. But at my company at the time, for legal reasons I cannot say the name of the company, but I basically worked for a company who had a product where people could make a booking, and we had a .com website. I know it's hard to imagine which company it was, but you gotta hang in there. And at my company at the time, we had a lot of attractive women working there as well, but I would never interact with them. Because they worked in another department, because I worked in the IT department. You're laughing too hard at that. And none of those ladies from HR recruitment would ever interact with us. And honestly, I cannot blame them. Because any time that any of those ladies from HR recruitment or whatever could come even close to the door of the IT department, 500 nerds would like jump in front of the window. Which, as we all know, is nerd for, hi, how are you doing? But to the credit of the company, they wanted to address the elephant in the room. We don't have enough women in tech. We need more female engineers. I was expecting a cheer from that, but no. All right. You're all like, nope, they're gardening enough, god damn it! No, we need more female engineers generally, and to the credit of the company, they were putting a lot of effort in it. They were hiring a lot of female applicants from all over the world, getting them into interviews, and those interviews would go perfectly fine, because they were conducted in the HR department, far away from the IT department, and everything would go perfectly fine until the applicants had to exit the building through the IT department, 500 nerds awaiting them, which in that case meant, hi, can I add you on Facebook? Never mind, I already hacked into your profile. And now we would never see or hear from them again. I never figured out why. Only thing I can think of, people are fucking weird in Amsterdam. People are so weird in Amsterdam. Now, oh, you're agreeing. That's why you're living here now. I get it, yeah. No, but truth be told, that city is the first place where I, as a person, started asking myself whether or not I'm a good person. I was just going to say it's an audience interaction thing, but don't say it yet. I'm going to draw you a scenario, and afterwards, I'm going to let you decide whether or not I'm a good person, all right? Because at my company at the time for lunch, we had a salad buffet, and there was always something for everyone. There was like all kinds of veggies, breads, bacon, eggs, a bowl of depression, usually the empty bowl. There was always something for everyone. And one day, one of my coworkers walks into the restaurant and wants to put some bacon on his plate. But there was no spoon in the bowl of the bacon. But this coworker of mine was, I'm an engineer, I can fix this. So he went into the bowl of the lettuce, took a spoon, went into the... So far you get it, right? Yeah, otherwise I'll restart my show from Fuck Dave. All right. Put some bacon on a spoon, put the bacon on his plate, and then put the spoon back in the original bowl of the lettuce. You get it, right? All right, that was first, okay. Then, out of nowhere, a vegan appeared. And I wasn't there at the time. But according to the saga that went around for 15 years after, according to the saga, the reaction must have been something like this. Again, I wasn't there at the time. I cannot confirm if any of that is true or false. But ever since I heard that story, and I walk into a restaurant, and I see a salad buffet, and there's a spoon somewhere in the same room, there's this little voice inside my head that is like, do it. Touch the pain. Do it. Just for the fun of it. Am I a good or a bad person? No, I'm a fucking awful person. What the hell is wrong with you? Now, I'm not going to complain the entire evening about Amsterdam. Believe me, I have the material. But what you say? Oh? All right, then especially for you, there's one thing I do want to share, because sometimes people ask me, if you're like shitting on this city so much, how did you end up there in the first place? And that's a story I want to share with you, because it's something. And it's a story that started in January of 2017. I'm going with my coworkers for an after-work drink in a fancy place in Antwerp. Might have heard of it, Plan Public. Well, very nice place. They play jazz music. There's all kinds of cocktails there. Very nice atmosphere. But I'm like hanging out with people from work, don't really know what they expected from me. I'm a little bit bored. Has any of you seen the television series How I Met Your Mother, by the way? So a few have, a few haven't. All right, so in the television series, there's this character named Barney Stinson, who is in no way whatsoever inappropriate to women. And there's a scene inside the series where he goes up to women, nodding them on the shoulder. Have you met Ted? And Ted, being an introverted friend, being uncomfortable, which is like a running gag through the entire series. And at the time, I was a huge fan of this television show. And I thought that behavior was not inappropriate in any way. So I thought, I'm going to do the same. So I went up to some women. Have you met Rutger? Turned out a lot of women hadn't met him yet. But I kept trying. Have you met Rutger? They also hadn't met him, but I noticed it seemed like Rutger didn't seem like he wanted to be met. But I kept on trying. I'm going to find a soulmate for Rutger tonight. So I kept on trying. Have you met Rutger? And they also hadn't met him, but there's like two Dutch girls like starting to engage into a conversation with him. But now I'm feeling bad. Because Rutger is talking to one of those two Dutch ladies, and now her friend, who happened to be even more attractive, was now standing there alone. And I felt a social obligation to talk to this incredibly beautiful woman. Not because I wanted to, but I had to. So I started talking to her. Hey, where are you from? What do you do for a living? Because that's how people told me to start a normal conversation. I was like, yeah, I'm from Amsterdam. I'm here with a friend. I'm really hitting it off. We keep on talking, and at some point, I lose sight of where Rutger went. But I was like, I'm going to check the lost and found box tomorrow. Tonight, I just want to stare into the beautiful eyes of this attractive lady I'm talking to. We keep on talking. At some point, she asks me, do you smoke? I say, no, but I really want to see you smoke for some reason. We go outside, she starts smoking, I stare at her creepily. We keep on talking. Before I know it, it's like 3 a.m. in the morning. Cinderella has to go back to her hotel room with her friend. I have to go check the lost and found to see if Rutger is anywhere near. And I thought that was it. I thought I'm never going to see this lady again. So I asked her, am I never going to see you again? Showing my puppy eyes. And it must have worked, because she gave me a little kiss and her Facebook. And that was January of 2017. Now, I'm not going to lie, obviously the story didn't progress a lot, because she was still living in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. I was still living in Antwerp, Belgium. I know, it's a 1-hour train ride, but we Europeans pretend like it's the end of the world. And I still tried. One day I sent her a message on Messenger. Hey, are we going to go for dinner someday in Amsterdam? She's like, yeah, but isn't that like super far away from you? To which I responded, 1,000 miles seems pretty far, but they've got planes and trains and cars. I would walk to you if I had no other way. All right, I didn't write that myself. I stole that from the song Hey There Delilah by the Plain White T's. But what you gonna do? Sue me? Like the record label is currently doing? Fuck Dave. No, but For real, this story didn't progress for a long time until like June of the same year, where my boss walks into the office, acting very nervously, acting like he has something to say. Like any day, really, fan of himself. Our own Boris Johnson, let's say. He comes into the office and he's like, "Hey guys, remember that round of funding that we were gonna get, that we needed to, like pay all of you? Yeah, we're not gonna get that." And I could have done some of the obvious things. Reply to one of the stalkery robotly people on LinkedIn without a soul, or apply to one of the cocksucking consultancy companies in Antwerp that burn tax money to poorly resolve a problem that only the government believes that exists. But those were the normal things. And I'm not a normal guy. So I thought, why don't I give it a shot? Why don't I apply for a job in Amsterdam? So I did. I went on the internet, sending out my resume everywhere. I went on Indeed, LinkedIn, Pornhub. I support honest work. Sending out my resume everywhere. And immediately, like, some startups responded, so I raced over to Amsterdam, interviewed on the day itself. They both offered me a job. One of the two offers had a slightly higher salary than my current salary. I was, "Jacob, don't sweat it. Something's going right in your life. Close your eyes, sign the contract. Sign, 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 sign." Which is great life advice, by the way. If you ever have a contract, don't bother reading it, just sign it. There will be no consequences whatsoever. Then I got introduced to the consequences of my actions. Or in other words, the Amsterdam housing market. Because the thing I didn't know at the time was that apparently the price, the rent, the cost to rent a single bedroom apartment in Amsterdam would be higher than my salary. Which isn't great if you're like a person who's into, like buying food or anything. But the worst part was I had to message back to this incredible woman, "Sorry, things are not working out. I'm not moving to Amsterdam." Yeah, I was expecting an awe here, but okay, the moment is gone. But this time she wasn't giving up. She was like, "Oh, at my company, we're also looking for people in IT. We sponsor relocation, and we even have a graduate program." And I responded what every single guy in my position would have responded. "What the fuck, you think I'm a graduate?" But at that time, I was still living in Antwerp. I was broke as fuck because I make horrible life decisions, like this one right here. I was broke. The company she worked for required like 5 levels of interviews, a very corporate environment. I had no corporate experience before. The interviews would take a month, and they only hired 1 out of 1,000 people that applied there. And I was running out of money, so the only responsible, normal thing to do was just getting a job in Antwerp and move on with my life. That was the mature, responsible, and normal thing to do. But I'm not a normal guy. So I went ahead. And I applied, and I got a first interview, a first test. Psychological, emotional interview. Basically checking whether or not you're a psychopath. And I passed, so I'm not a psychopath. I'm as surprised as you are. And I got like another test, like a more technical one, which I also passed. And I kept on passing these interviews, and before I knew it, I got invited for a final day of interviews in their headquarters. A final day of interviews. But those were brutal. Because I know this is my only shot I still have to move to Amsterdam. I had a business interview where I didn't know anything about. I got a technical test where I fucked up badly. I even in the middle of the interview screamed, "I fucked up!" Which is also great life advice, by the way. Say that in the middle of an interview, they will definitely hire you. I was in despair. I was crying. I was sweating. At the end of the day, the recruiter comes up to me. "How do you feel it went?" She was like, "We thought it went well. We want to offer you a job." And that, my children, is how I got into one of the biggest tech companies in Europe at the age of 24, which was totally the story I was telling, and there is not a single other detail whatsoever I should address to that story. All right, he's clapping, but some people in the back are like staring at me like, maybe there's one small detail you did forget to resolve, like, dude, what the fuck happened with this woman? Yeah, now you're wondering that, yeah. And I kind of have to disappoint you there. No. Well, also. But the minute I actually moved to Amsterdam, I got a message from her, let's just be friends. Don't feel bad, it worked out for both of us. She got a referral bonus, I'm an obnoxious stalker who would never leave her alone. I ended up with a burnout and suicidal tendencies. It worked out for both of us, we both learned from it. For me, it just took a hell of a lot longer. All right. This show was about things that are normal, not normal. And from what I can say, having a burnout, pretty much not normal. But what is normal? Have you ever walked down the street? That took a long time. I was already going to ask you, how do you... All right, full question. Have you ever walked down the street and you saw a person and you thought by yourself, oh my God, this person is 100% absolutely normal? No? You did? Well, I haven't, but maybe that's because I hang out with comedians all the time. No, but like, normal is related to what you're used to, your culture, the things you grew up with. And I have the absolute privilege of having been grown up in Belgium in a rather conservative little village. And what I've learned from like the things that they appreciate as normal is a very narrow range of things. That's why I wasn't surprised that one day I opened a newspaper and it had a headline that said, Belgium has the least inclusive education system in the world. And it's true. I were there because anyone who had like ADHD, AD, autism, smelled poorly, anyone we didn't like, we sent them to DJs. Anyone we didn't like, we sent them to a special bus. We sent them to a special school. I sent them in a separate bus to school. And people would call those kids names. They would say awful things about them. But I can proudly say I never participated in that because I was sitting on that bus. It's all right, because now I can tell you something no one else can. What happens there in special education? Because there's two systems, right? There's normal education, and they'll teach you everything you need to know in life. Columbus discovered America. Everything was always the Germans' fault. And a Shakespeare's book of people killing themselves in the name of love for some reason. But in special education, on the other hand, they'll teach you the same, but slower. It's like watching YouTube at 75% speed. And I asked other Belgians, if you're teaching those kids the same ignorant nonsense, can't we put them in the same building? And they're always defending it. No, Jacob, you can't do that, because what about all the smart, normal, intelligent kids? We want to prepare them as much as we can for future life, and otherwise they would be slowed down by those idiots. Hey, they said that, not me. I'm cool, all right? Well, if you want to prepare kids as much as you can for future life, the first lesson you should teach them is that they will be fucking always slowed down by other idiots. I was trying to take the metro yesterday at at the metro station in Barcelona. I was chasing down the stairs. The train was already standing there. There were 5 fat American tourists in front of me, blocking my way. Huh? Is this the right train? I was trying to catch the train, and I missed it because I was slowed down by idiots. Have you ever stood at the line at the supermarket, Cadadia or whatever, and you just want to like buy a can of soda and like pay and go and move on with your life, but you can't because like there's some old lady in front of you and picks out a bag of coins and she's like, "Con efectivo." You're slowed down by idiots. Has any of you ever applied for a NIE in Spain? It takes 6 months to make a fucking appointment. You're slowed down by idiots all the fucking time. But you know what the worst part of this is? All those people, the fat tourists at Urquinaona, the old lady at Cada Dia, striving for independence, and the people at the government, they went to the normal school. They learned to ignore past genocides at full speed. You see where it brought them. Well, I kept reading the newspaper because I was clearly not depressed enough. The next article that I read sparked my attention because it said some people from the autism community want to join the LGBT community. Now, I know, don't feel offended with LGBT, I'm missing some letters there. But I went to the special school. Give me a few years, I'm a bit behind. But it's true, and in one way I understand, because they're both facing discrimination. They both want recognition for the things they're going through. But I don't think it's right. You cannot compare someone who has autism to someone who's gay. Because if I at home would have said, "Mom, I'm gay," she would have accepted me. This joke always gets like a weird reaction for some reason. I did it once at another venue, and there was like some lady sitting up front, and she was really triggered by it, but like really triggered. She was like, "No, you can say that. You don't know what it's like to be a single mother." And she was drunk, abusive, neglecting my feelings. I was like, "Mom?" But it wasn't her. That's a nightmare that yet has to come one day, and then I'll be dead. It will be fun. You're applauding for death, yeah. This is usually the point where the audience has already figured out that I in fact do have a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, or if you abbreviate in Dutch, AS. You know it's true, right? Autism spectrum stoornis, AS. Either way, if you don't fully understand what it means, it's fine. There's been so much written and done about it. If you don't fully understand what any of that means, it's completely fine, because I'll let you on a secret. Neither do scientists. For real, I looked up some of the most common signs and symptoms of autism because I wanted to understand what it meant. First symptom, lack of fear. Lack of fear. Second symptom, anxiety. Also, people with autism tend to repeat the same words and sentences, like they tend to repeat the same words and sentences, like they tend to repeat the same words and sentences, like they tend to repeat the same words and sentences, like they tend to repeat the same words and sentences. I'm just going to keep repeating until you're laughing, like they tend to repeat the same... Sorry, that was a joke, which is also a symptom, by the way. People with autism do not understand jokes or sarcasm. And I would never use sarcasm. If I have autism, that would make me, a white heterosexual male with blonde hair and blue eyes, a minority. Hey, you're laughing at a minority right now. It would mean that I would get discriminated the same way as all the other minority groups that I've myself discriminated my entire life. And that doesn't seem fair, does it? It would mean that I would deserve the discrimination because there would be something wrong with me. It would mean that I would get fired from jobs and rejected offers. I would have to swallow that because there would be something wrong with me. It would mean that I would never get a girlfriend, be forever alone, and would have to accept that because there would be actually something wrong with me. It would mean that I would not be normal, and since disability cannot be healed, never be fixed, and never be normal, and I would rather jump in front of a train than not be normal. And now I see you all thinking, wasn't this like a comedy show? I think he's actually losing it on stage. All right, let's cut a deal, all right? The day anyone can live in whatever country they want. The day gays can have kids without anyone questioning. The day people don't get refused a job for whatever they decide on wearing on their head. The day women can walk home safe at night without being harassed. But especially the day where people with disability are considered whole and full people. That day, that particular specific day, I'll climb on Sagrada Familia, if it's finished by then. I'll climb on Sagrada Familia and scream out of the top of my lungs, I am not normal, and I never, ever want to be. But we aren't there, are we? As long as we live in a world where like more people feeding themselves to a heart attack than people having access to food is considered normal, where 5 old white guys controlling everything for everyone is considered normal, where drowning a handicapped person for a viral on Instagram is considered normal, where people sharing their Netflix passwords, I know you're all doing it, is considered normal. As long as we live in a world where sending a crying teenager back to his abusive family because his mom still loves him is considered normal, as long as that's the case, I'll hide in my closet, put on a mask, and keep on pretending that I'm fine. All right, so that got a bit dark, wasn't it? A bit serious there. try to advertise my shows as like drama/comedy. Sometimes people come in here and expect me to put on a hat, put on a clown of a nose. You know what I mean? And then they end up disappointed. But here's the thing, though. Like, I've been through like all these lists of signs and symptoms, and I've been doing research, and I don't think I have autism. Major plot twist. No, for real, because I struggle with this, right? I'm 30 years old now. People assume that I'm an adult. Not behaving like it, but people assume that I'm an adult, and I don't know which parts of my behavior are related to like some hypothetical form of autism, and which parts are like, you know, just me being a cunt. That's why tonight we're going to play a game I love to call Autism or Cunt. It's a fun game. Actually, if there's someone neurodivergent in the audience, you will be excluded from this game. But if you are actually neurodivergent, you're already used to being excluded. Hey, I can make this joke, I have a diagnosis. You want to make this joke, get a diagnosis. They're cheap. And they're fast, I got mine before even requesting one. Alright, the rules of the game are very simple. I say something embarrassing about myself and I let you decide whether it's autism or whether it's cunt. Everybody gets it? You get it, you get it, you get it? Who's ready for a game of autism or cunt? Alright, first one. When I eat a pack of Oreos, I can never stop eating until everything is finished. Wait, did I say Oreos? I meant cat food. Who says autism? Who says cunt? Okay, it's an audience participation thing, so you're like... You have to choose. All right, next one. I have trouble keeping eye contact with my girlfriend when she kicks me in the nuts. Who says autism? Who says cunt? I sometimes make up that I have a girlfriend for a dramatic effect. Autism or cunt? I believe... Yeah, there are no wrong answers here, all right? Everybody can just participate. Anyway. I believe in a conspiracy theory that an evil lizard is harvesting all our data as an attempt to take over the world. Autism or cunt? I actually think he has autism, but that's like a whole other thing, and if I keep talking about it, I'll get blocked from Facebook again, and it's like, all right, one last one. When I have a Zoom call with my manager, I have trouble staring at his face, because it's fucking ugly. Autism or cunt? Yeah, and indeed, I think I'm one big fat cunt. And I might be the first person to ever say these words on a comedy stage. But thank you so much for calling me a cunt. I did this set in it. What? You had autism or cunt? No. Playtime's over, all right. No, but I did this set in Edinburgh, right? And there were some people from the US in the audience. Apparently, cunt is a very bad word. Like, they got shocked by it. They were like, why are there totally two options? And why are they both horrible? And we're like, you're from the US, you should be used to having two options that are both horrible. No, but I got an email this morning, and someone was basically blackmailing me. Can you believe it? Like, they told me, like, pay me 200 bitcoins in the next 24 hours or I'll release your darkest secrets online. Yeah, I know, right? I was like, which secrets? Have you been to my show? I'm giving it out for free. You got no power here. All right. I'm bitching and laughing about a very sensitive topic. And I'm like making jokes about it because it's insane to me and I don't understand it either. And I went to like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lists of signs and symptoms and I didn't find any that fit me. But after long and long and long searching, there was one list of signs and symptoms that 100% did fit me. Those were things like desperate seek for attention. That's why I'm doing this. Low self-preservation, self-harm, depression. One minor detail. That's not a list of signs of autism. That's a list of signs of emotional abuse. I'm showing all of them. So while doctors and therapists and psychiatrists and any fucking idiot with an opinion on Reddit were arguing day and night whether or not I had special needs, and while they were debating whether or not I were normal and how they could make me act normal, maybe they should have asked themselves if I were okay. I've been doing this show for, I don't know, way too long. And sometimes people ask me questions. I'm not going to answer all your questions because, quite frankly, it's what I've been seeing a therapist for the last 2 years. She has 2 Ferraris now, by the way. But there's one question that keeps on coming back, and I do want to address it, because sometimes people ask me, Jacob, what's your point? Is it, I have autism, feel bad for me? Is it, I don't have autism, I'm going to prove it to you? Is it, autism does not exist, COVID does not exist, and the American elections were rigged? What's your fucking point? Do or don't you have autism? And I couldn't find an answer, so I felt like I'm going to resort in neuroscience, because in science there's answers. But I don't understand neuroscience completely, and quite frankly, it's really boring. The only person I ever knew that studied anything like it got so bored of it, he opened a comedy club in Barcelona. That's not even a joke. But I'm going to give you very briefly tonight the little piece that I do understand. And apparently, autism is the way that your brain interprets information and processes that information, and that would be different than someone else's brain. And that itself, we cannot read from someone's face. We can't see that like that. So we fall back to like lists and signs of symptoms that a person might or might not have if you have that kind of brain activity. So sometimes people get overdiagnosed, sometimes people get underdiagnosed. Happens. So Jacob, do or don't you have autism? The real question would be, the real answer would be, I don't know. And I feel that that's a frustrating way to end a nearly 1 hour of a show. If you feel annoyed by that, imagine living with it for 30 years. Sometimes life does not have answers. That's why we still don't know who Dave is. Yeah, little callback. I thought I'm just going to put it in there for the reviewers or whatever. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming to my show. It's nearly the end of the show. I'm very glad for the few people who came down here that you're here. We are recording it. What we're going to do with this recording, let's see. If Netflix going to buy it. It's my first show that I've written. I've performed it in Edinburgh now. I don't have a ton of experience performing or public speaking or speaking. I don't have a lot of experience performing, as pointed out by other comedians repeatedly. And like before Barcelona, I never did any of this before. It's like when I started living here that I started performing. Like the only time that I did any sort of public speaking before was in like one of those mandatory oral expressions in high school. We all remember those, right? Yeah, the traumas are already popping up. Great. And I remember mine, I had to do one where we had to talk about our greatest fear. And when I had to do it, I had a panic attack. Yeah, I know, having a panic attack when having to talk about your greatest fear reaches a level of irony where Alanis Morissette would be like, isn't that ironic, don't you think? But I couldn't do it. That's a shame, because it makes you vulnerable. People get to know you. It's personal. And I couldn't do it, and it's a shame. And I can, as I already pointed out, my time machine is still in beta, so I cannot go back in time. And to reproduce this moment, it would take a lot. I would need like stand in front of a room of people, hope they all speak English, and do it all over again. And I would never have an opportunity like that. Or do I? All right, the show is almost over. You can almost go into Raval and get robbed. But before you do, let's do this. Let's go back in time, around 12, 13, 14 years. Let's go back in time and do the oral expression as it should have been done the first time. All right, here we go. Dear class, dear teacher whose name I already forgot. Today I'm going to completely voluntarily talk about my greatest fear. And my greatest fear is to have a bad grade on this test. So you're giving some of those magical golden points. You really helped me halfway overcome my anxiety. Mate, it didn't work. How do I know how this game works? It's like you're playing Monopoly and you just keep playing until someone gets bored and knocks over the table. The only difference is that I never gave consent to play this game. I've been listening to all your fears, and I don't think you're being honest here. You're not all that afraid of like spiders, clowns, linear logic. I think you're rather afraid of not being the best in class, or failing exams, or having to eat lunch next to someone with another skin color. I think you're rather afraid of like not having your mommy preparing your lunch every day. I could come up here and truthfully explain my greatest fear, but I don't know how it would be perceived. I highly doubt you'd even listen. We're in high school here. We're all just pretending to be someone we're not. I could come up here and tell you how afraid I am of going to school every day. The fear of not knowing who will steal my backpack today. The stress of having my bike's wheel step leak and not knowing how to get home. The terror of people closing their bubble and never letting you in. The anxiety of people staring at you when you're sitting alone and eating lunch. The stress of getting picked last for soccer and over again. Or the terror of getting filmed while getting bullied on the so-called playground. I could be telling you that I fear you, that I fear of not being liked and that somehow become kind of a reality. It's so great when you start living your greatest nightmare the moment you wake up. I'm afraid that all the awful stuff you told me might be true. You know, that I'd be too fat to even be a nerd, too stupid to understand society, too autistic to be part of the group, or, that my kids would end up retarded. Or my favorite, regularly being asked why I don't kill myself. Hey, you said it. I felt it. And I thought about it. But even though you promised me I would never graduate, never get a girlfriend, never get a job, never get an internship, never succeed on any level in life, even though you promised me all of that, you're not my greatest fear. See, you fail to understand to see the full picture here, because when you get done torturing me and call it a day, I gotta go home. And even though I'm very scared of biking to school, it doesn't even remotely compare of how scared I am of biking back home. I know you don't get this, and I know you don't understand. And that's okay, because quite frankly, I don't understand it either. We're in 2010 now. I don't know yet what domestic violence means. I'm not yet aware I'm a victim of emotional abuse. From all I know, I have a completely normal family. It's what I've been told. From all I know, my mom cares about me. She cares about me so much, she keeps on faking doctor's prescriptions. She humiliates me in front of her coworkers. She made me believe my dad is an awful person. She gets drunk every night. She yells at me for every breath I take. My mom cares about me so much, the cops have to wake me up at night. I'm scared of her. Really scared. I want to run away, but I can't. I tried to escape, it didn't work. I don't want to go home tonight. But I don't want to be here either. I do not want to be here. What, you think this education has some kind of value to me? Like, what am I learning here? The taste of toilet water? How to get a PTSD? Fuck you! Fuck all of you! You don't know me. You don't get me. You're not better than me. Fuck you. Sorry, I got a bit emotional. I was about to tell you about my greatest fear, and since I'm a coward, I haven't done that yet, because my greatest fear is that this will never end. That things will never get better. I'm scared that I'll abuse my children the same way she abused me. That I'll never understand that this ain't normal. That I'll dedicate the rest of my life trying to prove you wrong. I'll work myself into a burnout trying to prove that I am worth something. But above all of that, I'm scared that 13 years from now, I'll take a random group of people hostage for an hour in some weird basement in Raval to still complain about it. Dear class, dear teacher, this was my oral expression. I hope your expectations have been fulfilled, and I'll be happily awaiting your judgment and be graded with some useless points that won't fix a goddamn thing. Thank you for being here tonight. If you felt that show was too long, it definitely was. If you felt that last bit was not funny, it definitely was not. And if you felt that I complained too much about my own childhood traumas, I'll leave you with this. I wish I didn't have to.